If you saw a dead body before you went to work, how would you react?
I'd act like I hadn't seen anything.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd act conspicuous. I'd be in my head, but I don't know if I should like reveal it to people. That's how I'd feel.
Yeah, because you don't want to be implicated. Not that you did the murder or anything, but like you want an alibi, so in case you have to snitch on the mob, they're not coming after you.
You also don't want to sound too crazy, but the only place I've ever worked in as far as my professional career or my adult life is in San Francisco. So it could be a dead body or it could just be someone sleeping on the street. You never really know.
I guess that is true. I guess that is true. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know how I would react. I like to think that I would just go about my day, but then again, I'd probably be like, "Man, that dead body's still in my mind."
Yeah, that would be
Um, yeah, it probably would mess with me the rest of the day, but not as much as I think the average person. I don't know what that says about me.
yeah. Well, you're cold-hearted, Derek.
I guess
Cold-hearted,
that's
heart of stone.
I guess that's what that means for me and Mac Jones. Just your opinion, man. Stephen Langford, Derek Pop. If you don't know what we're talking about, I heard about this Thursday morning because Copes texted me saying Guy Haberman just told us that on the way over to the bus, Mac Jones told everybody that he saw a dead body in the marina, and now we don't know what to think about this game. And I was like, well, that could only mean one thing: the Niners are going to get their ass kicked, because I'm sure Mac Jones will be shook after saying that. It's symbolic. And sure enough, then Mac Jones decided to dress up as Satan or Two-Face, whatever that outfit was, the two-tone that he was rocking
Mhm.
before the Niners upset the Rams. And I did not think they were going to win this game. I don't think most fans thought they were going to win this game. If you're saying otherwise, you're a liar. You're a fucking liar. But we'll talk about it today. Along with other things in sports, not just football. We'll talk about Jonathan Kuminga signing with the Warriors and what that means. Pretty much means he's not going to be a Warrior going forward, in my opinion. Um, the search for a new Giants manager commences, and it did last Wednesday. Buster Posey given a big piece of information. We'll pick games in week 5 of the NFL, but let's start with the 49ers, Steven. You and I both picked this game. We both got it wrong, obviously.
Yeah.
But how shocked were you that not only the Niners won, but they established a 14-0 lead to start the game?
Extremely. I didn't think they were just going to be this well-oiled machine right out of the gate, but I think that's a credit to Kyle Shanahan being as prepared as any coach. We always talk about that with Shanahan, and I'm kind of getting ahead of myself, but we always talk about the X's and O's, the play calling. How about we talk about the preparation? It at least feels like he's prepared in the first 15 plays that are usually scripted, the first quarter and a half, and then from there, you saw the offense start to, I don't want to say unravel, but you started to see it get out of rhythm a bit. But point being, that's far ahead. I just, I mean, what more can you say about it? That I've been listening over the past, 24, 48 hours. I guess you could call it 36 hours. Just to different people talking about the game, and I don't really know any other way to describe it other than it was just impressive. Like they just never say die, man. This defense that has been bend don't break in closing situations, doing it without any of your top 2 wide receivers, your top defensive end, another solid wide receiver, and Brandon Ayuk still recovering, without your starting quarterback, without your starting tight end, and you're still able to get by what I thought was not just one of the best teams in the division, but one of the best in the conference. Like there's always been that question about who can challenge the Eagles, and I thought the Rams were that team, even after the Rams lost. But the 49ers, they've just found a way, man. I don't know how they do it, but they do it. And I think it would be hypocritical of me to critique these types of wins because these were the types of wins we were searching for. I don't know if you remember, Derek, but back in 2023, when they were just blowing out all these teams, we had to go, can they win these gritty, grimy games where it's down to the wire? And it feels like each one of those wins has been that so far for the red and gold. So nothing but impressed when I saw that game Thursday night. Unbelievable.
Yeah, I think these type of games remind you that Kyle Shanahan's one of the best coaches in all of football. And I did not think that they had a chance. I thought that they would lose by 2 touchdowns. I just thought because of the short week and how well the Rams were playing, even in their loss to the Eagles, I thought it was impressive. And Mac Jones, I thought was hurt. I thought that he was just playing out of necessity because you'd rather have an injured Mac Jones as opposed to a fully healthy Adrian Martinez. And Mac Jones was the healthier quarterback, but he was good to go. And yeah, Kyle Shanahan gets so much criticism. I don't know why from this 49er fan base, even from Rock a New Era right now, saying my thing with Kyle, first half, right out the gate, Kyle can cook, but for some reason after halftime, the offense tends to struggle and lose a lot of steam, stall, but love the win, though. Yeah, I hear you rocking, but also at the same time, that's a lot of offenses, is you script the first 15, it's working, and then defenses adjust. And the Rams, I think, are a really good football team. And even when the Niners were up 14-0, I was like, I'll see if it is sustainable. I'll see if they can keep this going because Mac Jones is hobbling around and he looks really good in one of the more gutsier performances I've seen in quite some time. It's his career performance by far. An amazing performance by Kendrick Bourne we haven't seen since probably 2020. But yeah, I thought that the Rams would get back in this game because they're a well-oiled machine too. They're offensively unstoppable right now with Puka Nacua, and the 49ers contained him to some degree, having 10 catches for 85 yards. So they didn't let him, he's not like a deep threat by any means. There was a couple times where Matthew Stafford threw deep to him, but he's not the type of receiver. He doesn't have the speed of a Justin Jefferson or Jamar Chase. But they kept everything out in front of them when it came to getting Puka Nacua. He got his catches, but I thought they just did a good job as far as like he didn't go off. 10 for 85, that's not bad for a defense. But yeah, man, Kyle, I think for whatever reason, this fan base is just down on him because he hasn't won the big one. But when you really think about it, he gets the most out of his team when they're injured. And I can't say the same for a lot of coaches in the NFL. I think you're seeing it right now with Zach Taylor. We think he's a good coach. I really don't know if he's a good coach. He is a great quarterback. But when, Joe Burrow's out and it's Jake Browning, their offense can't do shit. And I think that's an indictment on Zach Taylor where, yes, Kyle Shanahan has a better backup quarterback in Mac Jones as opposed to Jake Browning. But I think that Kyle still finds a way to scheme it up. He finds a way to get the running game going, and he has it this season. I think that's a little bit of the offensive line and Christian McCaffrey. But yeah, Kyle just finds a way to score points. And some of these coaches can't do that. I would love to see what happens when the Eagles don't have Jalen Hurts. I don't know if Nick Sirianni can adapt like that. He's more of a CEO coach. I think Kevin O'Connell can figure things out. We've seen it before where he's able to get the most out of Sam Darnold or Shane Steichen right now with Daniel Jones. But I think there's not many coaches that can do what Kyle Shanahan does. And just real quick, Steven.
Yeah.
Let's be real here, too. He hasn't been playing with the best quarterbacks. Like, there's still amazing play callers in this league of Andy Reid and Sean McVay and Sean Payton, but those guys have first-round talents. And I know that the 49ers could have drafted Mahomes, but they didn't. They're playing with Brock Purdy. They're playing with Mac Jones, and they still find a way to put 26 points up on the board and be 4-1.
And the last time that he had like a potential Hall of Famer was Matt Ryan, and he had an MVP season under
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it's not a lot of people, but it's a small majority of people that still nitpick on Kyle for whatever reason. And I'm like, guys, he is top 5, maybe top 3 in the best coaches of football. You need to appreciate what you have in this guy.
I think another thing to kind of build on what you're talking about, it's not just getting the most out of his players on the field, but it's also like instilling that confidence in them before the game that they can win here. And it's not just using words. It's not just using some quote that you could find in like a Ralph Waldo Emerson poetry book or something on the wall where it's like, oh yeah, I'm going to use like some famous general's quote about going to battle and how that's going to, I don't even know what I'm talking about. But
nice pull there though with what's his name? Ralph Waldo who?
Ralph Waldo Emerson. It's because it's my doctor quoted him the other day. And he's from the Bronx, so he's just like, hey, have you ever heard of Ralph Waldo Emerson? Ralph Waldo Emerson said health is wealth, and I tend to agree with him. So yeah, I just thought of that. I don't know why.
Is your doctor Nicky Totoro?
A little bit. It sounds like him, yeah. But point being, he shows them, it's not just with his words, it's schematically. He's like, hey, this is the way we're going to take down this defense. And as long as you can do this, then we are going to at least compete here. Like with no players healthy, like no team has that much belief in that they can overcome whatever injuries are befalling them. But with Shanahan, I think he has this way of doing it for the offense. Then on the defensive side, I think it's Fred Warner. On the defensive side, I think it's like when we have Fred Warner, we know we're good. Even though we're missing Nick Bosa, we always got this dude who's just patrolling the second and third level at all times. Like that's why we're able to try to get to the quarterback with 4, even though that was a big issue for the defense was every time they could try to get to the quarterback with 4. Well, they wouldn't, they would just give Stafford a bunch of time. I thought Herb Street did a good job of pointing it out. It's just every single time they'd bring a blitz, well, Stafford's going to read that like a book and he's just going to hit the open receiver. I don't know how many other quarterbacks are going to be like that, that they face moving forward in the future. But my point is, it feels like with the offense, as long as a guy like Trent Williams and Christian McCaffrey is out there on the field and you have a play caller like Kyle Shanahan, whereas the defense, you have number 54 out there, number 2, Lenore, I think all of that plays into it. So there's just, it's the culture. I guess that all kind of adds into the culture that this team has built. And I think it's something that's a lot stronger than we give it credit for.
No, I would agree. And I think that, you know, I was shocked they won this game, but also I shouldn't be just because Kyle, you know, the fact they were playing a division opponent on a short week, but of course it was the Rams. And Kyle, they never get blown out by the Rams. Kyle is 11-8, including the postseason against Sean McVay. And, you know, yes, they were undermanned, but I still think that Kyle always finds a way to compete with Sean McVay. And you could tell, like, everything was going against the Rams early on in this game. The fumble by Blake Corum that was recovered by Gibson, the drop pass coming out of halftime by Kyron Williams, then that led to the missed field goal. You know, the Rams had their opportunities to really pull away in this game, and the 49ers hung around. And I know that some people are critiquing, well, they didn't put the gas pedal down in the second half. But let's be real. They were lucky to put up 26 points in this game. I mean, I understand that some people are going to be nitpicky with Kyle sometimes, but the fact that they were up 14-0 and they didn't have, you know, George Kittle, Ricky Pearsall, Juwan Jennings, that says something. The fact their defense kept them in this game is a testament to Robert Saleh as well. They, you know, didn't get a lot of pressure, but they got the 1 sack on Bryce Huff, or they got the 1 sack with Bryce Huff on Matthew Stafford, when last week they didn't have a single QB hit or a sack. I think that's pretty remarkable. And I do think that this is the best coaching rivalry in all sports. I do believe that. I think if you go through it right now, there's better, you know, team rivalries, there's better player rivalries, but as far as coaches, Kyle Shanahan and Sean McVay go all the way back to Tampa Bay with the Buccaneers working for Gruden. Then they both went to Washington working for, you know, Kyle's dad and Mike Shanahan. And they were, you know, they're both looked at as offensive masterminds. They went their separate ways. They both play in the same division. Yeah. They're both after the same quarterbacks. You know, really, Kyle has had the upper hand against Sean McVay for the majority of the time, but Sean McVay just has the 1 win in the playoffs that separates them. So, yeah, I think it's no question that it's the best coaching rivalry. And you could tell Sean McVay, some of the choices he made, we'll get to it later, he was absolutely pissed that he lost this game to Kyle. You could see it in his face.
Yeah, and just go back to, I think it was, was it 2020? God, they've been playing for so long now. Was it 2021 where they went up, I think, by like 3 touchdowns or something? Then the 49ers came back in the second half. But on that third touchdown, Sean McVay was down in the end zone celebrating with his players as if they just won the Super Bowl, for God's sakes.
You're talking about the last game of the season where the Rams needed to win it to win the division and the Niners needed to win and make the playoffs?
I can't remember, man. There have been so many games like that. But there's just one where McVay's celebrating in the same vein as Todd Downing after that deep pass in 2017, God. Right?
You know I hate that one.
Yeah. 2021. Thank you. But point being, like, Shanahan, or excuse me, I think McVay sees Shanahan on the opposing sideline and truly, more than anything else, wants to beat him. But I also think there's a little part of him that's still kind of the understudy, feels like the understudy, at least. Even though he has a Super Bowl victory to his name, he still feels like kind of the little brother to Shanahan. I don't know what it is. It's that maybe I'm wrong, but
it's vice versa.
I think that play calling, man, is just, You said we're going to get into it. Let's get into it now, because I think that play calling at the end of the game specifically was just atrocious.
I'm with you. But before we get into that, just real quick, yes, there is animosity on both sides, even though they are good friends. There's a sibling rivalry a little bit where basically they're brothers. They grew up together in this
Right.
coaching scheme, and then they went their separate ways and coached in division against each other. And yeah, like years ago, I hated this when there was that Twitter post where Sean McVay's running through the entire Chicago Bears roster,
Mm-hmm.
and everybody's like, "Oh my God, this guy's incredible that he's able to drop the roster like that." I'm like, "He's a fucking coach. What do you expect?" And then there was also the clip of him like going through all of his play calls when he was the when he was the Washington OC. And John Lund's always told me the story where he would interview Kyle on a weekly basis. And Kyle was kind of pissed off about that, where he was like, I could do that too. Most coaches could do that. We are sick where we have it pretty much just burned into our brains of every play call we've ever called in our lives. And you don't think I could do that too? So Lund put him to the test, and Kyle did the same thing. I think that's because Sean McVay's got a little more charisma with the media. Like you saw it in the halftime interview where Ben Johnson just wants to get the fuck out of there. He doesn't want to hear from Aditi Kikawala. Where Sean McVay's like, yeah, we got to do this better. We got to do that better. You know, I appreciate the questions. And Kyle just couldn't give two shits about talking to the media. So it's a different thing where, you know, Sean McVay's the LA kind of pretty boy, and Kyle's like, I'm just here to fucking win football games. And yeah, the post-game presser with Sean McVay, I've never seen him this pissed. Like usually he's kind of, you know, cheesy for the cameras, I'll admit. But the press conference started off with him going, go ahead. Like he was pissed.
Yeah.
And then, you know, right away they're like, what'd you think about that fourth down call? Bad play call by me. Bad play call by me. I put our guys in a shitty situation. You know, I just want to say, you know, we have to get back at it and you know, go back to work tomorrow. But yeah, this is going to be a tough one to swallow. And then the guy's like, would you have kicked the field goal? No, I wasn't kicking the field goal. In hindsight, I probably should have. Yeah. As far as the play calls, let me just give credit to the Niners defense. It was 3 plays in particular in the fourth quarter and overtime. Defense/special teams. The block kick by Jordan Elliott to keep the game tied at 20 was massive. The fumble recovery, forced fumble and fumble recovery by my guy Alfred Collins, the goal line was an incredible play. And then, of course, the fourth down stop. I thought that Sean McVay could have called a screen pass to Puka Nacua or any passing play, because you could give a lot of credit to Mac Jones in this game. Matthew Stafford was unbelievable. Like we all thought that maybe he was not going to be the same guy with the back injury. The way he was able to, in overtime, pirouette, get out of a sack, and throw deep 38 yards to Tutu Atwell was incredible. Yeah. So I would have done a different play call there. I even considered kicking the field goal, not for a tie by any means, but there was 3:45 left in the game, something like that.
Yeah.
When they attempted that fourth down call, and Mac Jones, great effort, eating, you know, bananas on the sideline, but
he was dead at that point.
Yes, you could have kicked the field goal and made Mac Jones beat you one more time. I thought it was a bad play call from the running standpoint of it with Kyren Williams, who fumbled earlier. And just not even considering kicking a field goal. I thought it was Sean McVay is an incredible coach. I thought he outthought this game or thought too much or just, you know, just fucked it up really.
I'm not. there you go. Roundabout way of saying
I'm searching for the words here, but he just fucked up.
Listen, he overthought it. He did.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right on all counts. How do you take the ball out of the hands of the guy who's been playing like an MVP in this game? I thought Mac Jones was great, but I thought Matthew Stafford was making some outstanding throws, like unbelievable throws. I felt like Mac Jones was just hitting guys with anticipation, getting the ball out really quickly, and had a really good connection with Kendrick Bourne. And I thought the Christian McCaffrey too was unreal, and I thought they were executing just very well on all levels offensively, at least in the first half. But I just thought throughout the game, Stafford was making some unbelievable throws. And that Tutu Atwell play you mentioned, it looked like that was planned. If you go back and watch the mic'd up of the Rams and Colts, there's an exact same situation where they look at Tutu Atwell and said, hey, you're going to have this open over the top. Just get downfield. And he did. And we saw what happened with him scoring that 88-yard touchdown. The exact same thing happened. Emmanuel Acho brought it up and put it on Twitter, and I thought it was a great catch. The when the 49ers are on offense after that really, really awkward coin toss. What the hell happened there? But you see Stafford talking to his guys on the bench, Tutu Atwell included, and that play was probably the one that he drew up there on the sideline. Like, hey, when we get this look, we are going to do this one. This is going to be the big play that's going to get us downfield. Because I think that one was absolutely, just for lack of a better term, planned beforehand. Yes. Chelsea up 2-1 on Liverpool with a minute and a half to go in extra time. Liverpool, hate them. So
Liverpool.
With all that being said, Kyrie Williams, he had a couple of nice runs, but that fumble that he had at the end of the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
And then in overtime, it's fine. You get the ball back in his hands immediately. Like they went straight to him at the start of that drive. And I'm not mad at that. But to put the ball in his hands with the game on the line, if you're going to go aggressive with that, you put it in his hands and not number 9's? The hell are you talking? Like, I have no problem with them not going for a field goal. I have no problem with that because I think partially what won the 49ers this game was the amount of time they were able to take off the clock on offense. And I just don't think McVay or that coaching staff had any confidence that they could potentially stop Christian McCaffrey. Like all it would take is a couple of screen passes, a couple of check downs. They get a couple of first downs. Who knows? Maybe even they get into field goal range. I don't disagree with going for it on fourth down. I really don't. But to use that play where it's just a run up the gut where the 49ers clearly outmanned them. I think Jeff Schwartz, go look at his Twitter page. He did a great breakdown on it. You're running behind tight ends and wide receivers who are blocking for you. You're not even running behind linemen. So overall, it was just, I think the number one thing for me in this Niner game that I came away with was that the Rams just got out-coached. That was the top thing. I mean, it's not the only reason why the 49ers won. There's a bunch of them. But I thought Shanahan, Saleh, they were just better. And it took so long for the Rams to adjust to the 49ers underneath passing game. Like they didn't they didn't really until the fourth quarter.
I don't know if they got out coached, but I agree with you, Steven. Sean McVay totally overthought it when it came to the fourth down play. I thought that they contained Puka Nacua, but they couldn't stop Puka Nacua. So I would have gone to him on 4th and 1.
I mean, they drew up that play from whatever it was. It was inside the 5, but they drew up that play where it's just you stack two wide receivers out right. You just quickly throw it to Puka, and he's right there in the end zone. Like that could have been the play.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, if they would have ran that play on 4th and 1 with Puka Nacua on a screen pass, they probably would have scored. Which is how it's tough to bring him down, but. Yeah, that was working the entire night where you would use basically Puka Nacua or Devontae Adams as decoys out in front in a blocking scheme, and then Kyren Williams would come underneath the flats. I would even throw to Kyren Williams on that play as opposed to running with him. Yeah. But then again, it's a 4th and 1. Just run up the middle. You should get that yard.
Right.
But then again, the Niners are planning for that. So, yeah, I don't know if they were out-coached. I just think that it was a mix of Sean McVay overthinking and his running back screwing him over with Blake Corum fumbling and Kyren Williams fumbling and dropping passes. So that was the difference. I think that had the Rams won the game 27-23, I would have come on here and been like, the Rams are a really good team and the 49ers are right behind them. And it's a moral victory to come into SoFi, which is basically, Levi's South, but to come in on the road and play undermanned and to be in that game, I think that's a moral victory, but I know fans don't want to hear that. So to get the win, big fucking deal.
Huge.
I do want to ask you this, though, because you and I were texting about this during the game or at the end of the game. Did you really think the game was over when they fumbled on the goal line and the Niners had 3 timeouts?
I mean, I told you that I thought it was. I didn't think about the 3 timeouts.
You got to think about the 3 timeouts. Come on.
Derek, I just immediately went to Twitter. What do you think? I tweeted without any thought. Come on.
So irresponsible.
I had to get it out there, Derek.
Okay, but did you think that Kyle went about the wrong way with just 3 straight runs?
I thought he could have been a little more aggressive there.
Okay, so we got into the...
But also, did the defense not close the game?
They did eventually. Not on that play, but they did eventually.
Just don't look at the timestamp on that tweet.
No, Steven. You can't do this where I remember a year ago you were like, Gardner Minshew Gardner Minshew in this Raider game, they're going to lose the game. You tweet too early. Just wait for the game to be final. It's not about who's first.
Derek, it's all about who's first. This is 2025 we're talking about. All right?
But Pablo Torre would tell you that's not real journalism.
He's not wrong.
I got you there. We had this debate yesterday. Not really a debate with us. It was really me, Copes, and rational 49er fans versus irrational 49er fans. I understand why it's more important in the final stages of the game. Like, think about the situational football. You thought you were going to lose 27-23, and now you have the football on the goal line. Worst case scenario, you punt it back to them, and they tie the game, and that's what happened. But you got to burn the timeouts. That's the priority in the moment. Could you have been more aggressive? Could you have thrown? I don't know if you want to throw a deep pass there. It's very risky, but maybe a screen pass to get the first down, and then the game would have been over. Yeah, but I don't think it was too conservative. I think that in that moment, it's fool's gold. You recover the fumble on the goal line, make the Rams burn the timeouts. In the end, you won. So
yeah,
there was some 49er fans arguing with us yesterday, being like, Kyle's still too conservative. I'm like, stop it. You won the game. What are you bitching about?
Yeah. But how many of those games can they take? That's also another question I have coming out of this. It feels like every single game that they've won so far, well, you come out of it saying, well, a win's a win. They just found a way. Whether it's the Seahawks game or the Cardinals game or the Saints game or this latest one, it's just always bend but don't break, truly. And I think we're going to be facing a lot of that, Derek, if this is how the team just keeps winning. Until they actually get like a convincing, resounding blowout win, yeah, there's always going to be that.
Yeah, but at the same time, it will be, whoa, they beat the Falcons. Oh, they beat the Giants. Oh, they beat the Texans. It's not going to be ever convincing enough for fans. Like, it's either the opponent or the amount of points you won by. And my argument could be, well, the Eagles are 4-0, but all of their wins are by the skin of their teeth at the same time. So yeah, it doesn't matter to me. Like, as long as the 49ers make the postseason, then that's when in a season where, this offseason where you saw so many guys leave and even the coach tells you pump the brakes on Super Bowl expectations, I think that's a victory, considering everything that's going on with their starting quarterback being injured and Nick Bosa, basically their quarterback on defense, being out for the season. Take what you could get right now. 4-1, that's remarkable. And I don't even know how good this team is, really. With all the injuries, I know the coach is really good. I know they have a solid backup quarterback, but I have no idea how really good the 49ers are at 4-1.
It's this weird Ewing theory, but with a bunch of the players on the team.
I've heard that so much lately in the last 2 days, the Ewing theory.
Really?
Yes.
With who? Regards to who?
I was just listening to the Green Light podcast with Chris Long, and they were talking about how Jackson Dart may be more free now that Malik Neighbors tore his ACL, so you're not focused on having to give targets to Malik Neighbors and using the Ewing theory in that.
It's one game.
Yeah, I know.
Right? I think you could almost use the Ewing theory with the Indiana Fever, who were really close to reaching the playoffs, and it's like, oh, they got to this point without Caitlin Clark. Little Clark theory there. But they got bigger problems in the WNBA. Good Lord, that battle with the players are just going off on the commissioner. It's pretty interesting to keep up with.
Yeah, I wish I knew more about that to have an opinion, but I don't.
No, it's just the workers going at the establishment, and it's really fascinating to watch. But anyway, but it's like a Ewing theory with the entire team. It's like, what's this going to look like? What if they lose when all these starters are back? Well, are they better without their starters?
Yeah, I know.
I don't know what it is, man. They just keep on winning. They just do. I really don't know what this team is. I don't know how to evaluate the Eagles either. It's like, whatever that crazy stat was, I was listening to your show, and whatever that crazy stat was about how they haven't had an interception or a rushing touchdown and the first team to win
since 1940.
Yeah, which is nuts. I don't know what the historical context of the Eagles 4-0, or excuse me, the 4-0 record is without even getting over 1,010 total yards on offense. Like, I don't know how to put that in a historical context. I don't know, but they're winning games. Now, here's my thing. Wanted to bring up this quarterback controversy stuff.
Yeah, good segue, because we were getting to that next. Yeah,
wanted to bring that up.
Okay.
So, first off, how do you define quarterback controversy? I think it's a very vague statement.
Great question. How do I define it?
Yeah, how do you define it?
I
got a definition.
A true quarterback controversy is different than a quarterback battle. A quarterback battle is when you go into training camp and let's say last year with the Raiders, it's Gardner Minshew versus Aiden O'Connell. That's a quarterback battle. Is it a controversy? No. A controversy is where fans or players or the owner or even coaches maybe suggest that the backup should play over the starter. That's a quarterback controversy to me. Like when Bill Walsh, this was the original one, years ago when he acquired Steve Young, he purposefully on television said we have a quarterback controversy between Joe Montana and Steve Young. And everybody was like, you do? And that was to motivate Joe Montana even more, and it pissed off Steve Young in the process. But to me, a controversy is when there's talk around it. There's discourse. It's Tom Brady's playing well. Maybe we'll never see Drew Bledsoe again. Like right now, we're having a quarterback controversy between Mac Jones and Brock Purdy, but I don't think it's legitimate.
See, that's what my definition is. It's the Tom Brady, Drew Bledsoe situation where you found a backup who is better than whoever your franchise quarterback is, and that backup is going to usurp him and start and take over. But my thing with the 49ers, isn't a quarterback controversy always going to be a thing until that quarterback wins a Super Bowl? I'm sorry, but if a guy like Brock Purdy, who's the first franchise guy you've really found since, I don't know, Alex Smith, I guess, like a guy who you could keep long term.
I won't even say that, but yeah, okay.
Well, I know, but they kept him around for more than a few years. It feels like they just rotate quarterbacks the way that, I don't know, I was going to just say certain athletes rotate through women, but like they just go on and on and on. It's a cycle. It just feels like.
Were you going to mention anybody in particular?
I don't know, but
your analogies today.
Yeah, I know they're weird, but point being, they barely stick with them for more than a year and a half.
Yeah,
it's taken. Like, I don't think there's a quarterback controversy right now where I believe Mac Jones needs to take Brock Purdy's job and start in his place. But I do think the fact that it's even brought up right now, and the fact that we're listening to Al Michaels, who, look, legend, he was awful. He was so out of it in that game. And the fact that we're running with what Al Michaels had to say, there's a quarterback controversy, comparing Mac Jones to Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield, who both played full seasons with their new teams and managed to reach the playoffs with those new teams. Comparing Mac Jones and his resurrection tour to Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield, I even think it's too early for that. It has the makings of that, but comparing him to those two quarterbacks, it's okay. We could go with the fruits. It's still apples and oranges, I guess. But it's like, what? But the thing is, it's just with this 49ers team, it feels like there's always going to be a quarterback controversy hovering until they find one who wins them the Super Bowl. Because if Brock Purdy, a guy who's proven it in the playoffs, who has proven that he can take them to overtime in the Super Bowl, still lost, and you're just over him after a season and a quarter, like, this has me believing. I was thinking about a lot this morning about controversy, quarterback controversy, even listen to the Prince album controversy just to add to it. And Let's Work, great song. So I was thinking, like, there's always going to be one until that quarterback wins them a Super Bowl. If Brock Purdy, if you're not content with Brock Purdy and you think Mac Jones is the answer, well, here's the thing. Okay, what happens? They find a way to trade Brock Purdy's $53 million contract, which doesn't kick in until next year, by the way. They find a way to trade that and then have Mac Jones as the starter. Well, once Mac Jones starts losing games, well, who's the next backup now? Where's the controversy we could talk about now? It's just going to be a never-ending cycle until that quarterback gets them Super Bowl number 6. I'm convinced of that.
Yeah, I think it's, though, Brock Purdy doesn't fit the prototype for a traditional quarterback.
Sure.
Like, do we ever hear a quarterback controversy for Josh Allen? Do we ever hear a quarterback controversy for Lamar Jackson?
No.
Like teams that have been longing for a Super Bowl for a long time. We just do it with the 49ers because despite all the accomplishments of Brock Purdy, it's still going to hover over his career that he was Mr. Irrelevant. No matter what he does, no matter how much money he makes, no matter what he accomplishes, it's always going to be, yeah, but he's not really the guy that we look for when we're scouting quarterbacks. And that sucks because that's something that he can't control. but it's the truth. He fits so perfectly in Kyle Shanahan's scheme, and there's another guy that fits so perfectly as well, and the drop-off's not that bad. But let's be real here. He makes $53 million a year. You're not going to move off of that, and I don't think another team would be willing to do that at this point, because who's to say he's going to fit in their scheme? Who's to say that Mac Jones is going to fit in another scheme as well? I think there's only like a few guys that can figure it out. It's Kyle Shanahan, it's Kevin O'Connell, and Shane Steichen. It's the true play callers that get the best out of these forgotten talents. So to me, the quarterback controversy really is Mac Jones is your starter until Brock Purdy's 100%, because Brock has looked bad when with the toe injury. He looked bad last week, and he was the less injured quarterback, so he played. Now Mac Jones is a little healthier. He's going to play. But it's proven to be that Mac Jones performs better when he's injured as opposed to Brock Purdy. So for the time being, Mac Jones is your guy until we know Brock Purdy's 100%. It's a similar situation if you've seen the Cowboys documentary. It's a similar situation to when Troy Aikman was the guy, but Steve Berline was the healthier quarterback, and the team was just flowing better with him. So they started him in the postseason. Yep. Then you bet your ass next season, Steve Berline was traded away, and Troy Aikman was the starter. Same thing with like the 2007 Washington Redskins, where Jason Campbell was the main guy, and then he got hurt, and then Todd Collins filled in. They went on a run. Jason Campbell got healthy, and then Todd Collins had a epic meltdown in the playoffs, and they went back to Jason Campbell. That's the way I see it, is that Mac Jones, he has a great attitude about it. In the postgame, he was asked if he should be the starter, and he said, I came to be the backup quarterback. So that's his job, is he's the guy, I think, for the foreseeable future until Brock's 100%, but you best believe Brock Purdy is the quarterback for the long haul.
Man, I mean, I got to credit Mac Jones for how tough he was just hanging in there, but this dude looked like he was about to pass out at the end of this game. At the end of the last game that he started against the Cardinals, he was limping. It was a glaring ailment for his knee. Clearly looked like he re-aggravated that knee sprain. Like, how much longer can they go with Mac Jones? Like, look at the way that he was walking to his press conference. Okay, like, this was considering we know how much he was dry heaving at the end of that game, basically about to throw up in overtime. I think he did. But just seeing that, he looked how anyone has looked when they're hung over just trying to walk to like breakfast the next day. Just like reminds me of one time, I'm making this about myself, but one time in Chico, it was Mother's Day on the Sunday, and the Saturday night went out, had a very long night, and then Sunday my parents were coming up, and this is exactly how I was walking into the restaurant for breakfast.
All right, how y'all doing?
Jesus. He just was not right after the game.
Well, yeah, he played in a football game. He was getting the crap beat out of him.
Yeah, it's not the same thing as just a college kid who drank a little too much the night before. But point being, it's just how much longer could they keep going with Mac for the rest of the season? Like, can he continue to keep taking these beatings? Because whatever toughness that he has, which he clearly has a lot of, it's going to be tested moving forward.
Yeah, that's why he's a pillar of health. When you see those those pictures of him, in the locker room smoking the stogie and in his tidy whities, he's cut, he's built. Everybody made fun of him for being, kind of chubby in that situation. But no, he's a tough son of a bitch, man. He's hanging tough, and he's going to be their crash test dummy until Brock comes back. That's just the bottom line.
It's just insane, man. It's insane. Like the way that they got out of that. But point being, I just don't think you can have a quarterback controversy after 3 games, 2 of which the defense closed it out, and they barely did anything in the second half because the quarterback was hurt. I mean, credit to him for getting them at least in field goal range, but also that stupid landing zone rule, which got them to 40.
God,
I already hate it now after the 2 times that it's impacted the game. Like,
back-to-back Thursday night games.
I'm convinced like that kicker has to be kicking himself because he didn't put it inside the 20.
Yeah, no, I hate that rule. But yeah, the 49ers will go forward with Mac Jones. There really is no QB controversy. I think that's just a thing for the national media to bring up, but and locally too, some shows will bring it up. But yeah, I don't think it's legitimate. I think it's just that Mac is the guy for right now, and Brock Purdy will be the guy for the long haul.
He's going to be like walking in there like he's going to be walking into the post-game press conference after week 10 looking like Leo DiCaprio trying to sneak into his Lamborghini in Wolf of Wall Street, just crawling to the podium.
Crawling?
Yeah. like he's on a bunch of Quaaludes.
The Ludes.
The Ludes.
Speaking of DiCaprio, we'll get to him later during Pop Culture Catch-Up. All right, let's go over for a little basketball.
Oh, we
That's
didn't get, but we did. Hang on, whoa. First, real quick, Ernie too. What a difference having a reliable kicker makes. Yeah, Eddie Piñeiro's been fucking great, dude.
Yeah,
he is just. I don't really know any other way to put that. The 59-yarder, the way that he squeaked it in, the luck's on his side right now, man. I don't have anything else to say. I mean, if you want to say like we were, if you want me to say like we were wrong about the kicker, probably were. Yeah. I'd say
I mean,
so.
I mean, they were wrong about the kicker. The John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan were wrong about Jake Moody, and okay, we're talking about a kicker now. That's the way it should be. You should have a reliable kicker. You should have a guy that's able to make a 59-yard field goal in a dome. You should have a guy that's able to make the one kick at the end in overtime to kiss through the upright, not doink it in. That was beautiful. So yeah, it's an afterthought now. Eddie Piñeiro's doing his thing, and Jake Moody was terrible. I'll admit it. Yes, we're moving on now, everybody.
11 bananas.
It's actually 3.
I know.
Tracy had initially thought it was 11, but actually just 3. But my first
I
thought
looked up
was
the nutritional facts for that if you want them.
Sure. Well, I knew that potassium was beneficial for cramps, but my initial reaction when I saw Mac Jones eat those bananas, I was like, is he pulling a Mark Sanchez right now? Eating a hot dog on the sideline? That's so disrespectful.
Definitely not a hot dog, but someone pointed out that it's just a dream to have an unpeeled or a peeled banana at the go just handed to you as you're trying to eat, which is just, it is a dream to have that.
I don't know about that. If someone just gave me a bare naked banana, I'd be like, ew.
So 11 bananas. That's just for the fun of it. It was 3, but for the fun. Just 1,155 calories. Not too bad on the calorie count. If you're in a calorie deficit, 11 bananas in a day is not too bad.
Okay.
Unless you want to eat like 700 more for the rest of the day.
You'll probably be shitting all day.
297. Well, actually, let's get to that one. 34.1 grams of dietary fiber, which would be 122% of the daily value. Total carbs, Derek, 297 grams, which would be 108% of the daily value. Can you guess how many milligrams of potassium is in 11 bananas? So this is hard-hitting stuff.
Yeah, I know, and I'm going to be way off, so just give it to me, Steven.
4,646 milligrams, which is 99% of our daily value.
Yeah, that's a lot of, is it K on the,
Yeah.
Okay.
A lot
of K.
Yeah, a lot of special K.
Yeah.
Dude, how would anyone believe that? That's the same thing as when we believed that, because Kawhi Leonard is Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi Leonard said it's Apple time when they're at a steak dinner and someone brought out.
What the hell was that?
The Athletic wrote a piece about it a little while back when he was with the Spurs. And they said, you want to know how weird Kawhi Leonard is? They went to a steakhouse for their annual gathering that Greg Popovich liked to do. And instead of ordering steak, Kawhi said, it's apple time. And they brought out a bag of apples and he was eating those apples with a knife and fork.
Okay.
That was an actual story that came out. But 11 bananas, 11, that's way too much. You can't eat 11 bananas.
I know. He debunked that, Steven. He said it was 3.
I know. But the fact that people even believed 11 was astounding.
He probably would have shit his pants during the game if he ate 11 bananas. That's ridiculous.
Fucking Donkey Kong.
Yeah, I know. All right, should we move over to basketball?
Yeah.
All right, let's do it. Even though the season's a couple weeks away, but the Warriors have made news lately because they're finally constructing their roster right before the season starts. They signed Al Horford. He's basically the Aaron Rodgers of the NFL as it relates to like how long it took him to sign the deal. It wasn't his fault. It was basically Kuminga's and the Warriors situation. He met the media and said that it was either this or retire or go back to Boston. There was other options out there. I guess he was talking to the Lakers and the Clippers as well, but he probably didn't want to go back to Boston because of the roster reconstruction there and no Jason Tatum for this season. So he signs a 2-year deal with the Warriors at 39 years old. It's going to be a good 3-point shooter for them at the 5, but they're old. They're a really old starting 5. They brought back D'Anthony Melton, who tore his ACL early in the season last year, and they traded him away for Dennis Schroeder. They signed Seth Curry, but he can't be on the active roster until November 15th because of all the apron shit. And they got brought back GP2. And then, of course, there's Jonathan Kuminga, who signed the 2-year, $48.5 million contract with a team option, which Aaron Turner said they would not sign. But sure enough, they did. Your thoughts, Stephen, on Jonathan Kuminga, because I think this is clear that he's not going to be a Warrior, right after the trade deadline.
I think the telling thing, whether he meant to or not, was when Shams Charania, who it feels like he's just kind of speaking for Kuminga at this point. It's just the agent feeding Shams any information. And when Shams cited sources in his ESPN piece, stating if and when the Warriors trade him, they could rip up that contract and then renegotiate. Yeah, I think it's a done deal that they are. And I respect, again, I think I'm really looking at the agent in this situation. I'm not looking at Kuminga. I just think Kuminga is a 22-year-old who wanted to make as much money as possible. And this agent said, hey, this is what we're going to do. We're going to act like we're accepting the qualifying offer. We're going to lead it up to the deadline, and they're going to have no choice but to pay you and but to give you this player option so that you have way more control over your future. And it backfired. Like, this is, I'm not saying it's the worst possible outcome, because he's still going to be making, $23 million or whatever it is. That's not bad. That's a little bit of cash. That's not bad. But, and his agent's going to be making a nice penny too. But I'm going to pose the question again, Derek. Like, did it make any sense to you when he's trying to be the focal point of an offense, be the centerpiece of an offense, but then in his press conference, he says, well, I'm focused on winning a championship. Well, if you were focused on winning a championship, you would be okay with getting traded at the deadline, because the teams that are going to be buying are the teams that are contending. So why wouldn't you be okay with getting traded then? It has to be to the Kings. Ooh, the Kings. What?
Yeah. I don't think he gives a shit about winning. I really don't. I think that he cares about getting his. I think that he's put the work in for a while now, and he wants to be the focal point of an offense, and it's not with the Warriors. He's not the focal point. It will be Steph Curry. It will be Jimmy Butler. Hell, it'll be Draymond in some capacity to run the offense. It will not be Jonathan Kuminga. He could help the offense. He could be a great cleanup hitter when they're winning in games, and he comes off the bench and adds to the lead and does his own thing, but he doesn't want to do that. So the whole thing was a mess. This whole thing was a waste of time, to be honest. He really wants to go to the Kings, and we're just buying time now where everyone's not being genuine. Mike Dunleavy's saying what he needs to say. Steve Kerr's saying what he needs to say. Steph Curry's trying his damnedest not to be the old cranky leader of the team, to be like, tell the agent to shut the fuck up and tell Kuminga to get his ass here. That's what he wants to say. But he's, being the consummate pro and just being like, I don't need to hear from the agent. Kuminga's told me that he's going to be professional when he gets here, and he needs to buy into what his role is. That's what everybody has said, from Dunleavy to Kerr to Steph Curry to Draymond to Jimmy Butler. They're all telling him, you're not the guy. Like, I thought it was telling when Steve Kerr was asked a question about, will this break up the locker room? And he was like, no, it won't. You know why? Because Steph Curry's an alpha. Draymond Green's an alpha. Jimmy Butler's an alpha. No, we will not worry about that. Basically telling Jonathan Kuminga, you're not an alpha yet. You've never been, buddy. So Aaron Turner saying all these things about we are not going to settle for a team option. He deserves a player option. And then they caved. They caved in the end. This pretty much, to me, cements the fact that he will not be on the roster. It's the same situation we've been in the last few years where they're showcasing him to the league. Last year in November, when Draymond Green said, I'm going to be coming off the bench, it's time to let the young fella get his playing time. It's the same situation where he's not going to be starting now. There's no way you could start him. How's it going to work? It's Steph Curry, either Pods or Buddy Hield, Jimmy Butler, Draymond Green, and Al Horford's your starting five. They've already told everybody that Draymond Green's too old now to be the starting five. So they're not going to do that anymore. There's no way Jonathan Kuminga can start on this team. Now, there might be rotations where he plays with Jimmy Butler, but I think that's redundant. So we'll see how it goes. But for everyone out there saying, I'm glad it's over for now. but just wait till January. It's going to pick the fuck up, and Jonathan Kuminga will not be on the Warriors.
Well, that's just where you got to stay off social media, because those talks are going to get loud if they're winning games and they're using Kuminga in a certain role. Or if they're losing games, like if the Warriors start losing games and they run the offense as is, and I fully expect Kerr to maintain his stance on Kuminga, which is, I mean, sure, you could consider him a sixth man, but really just the guy off the bench whenever Steph Curry's out. Like that's what Jonathan Kuminga's role is going to be. So I'm very interested to see that. You're going to have to, but if you're tired of it, yeah, you're just going to have to stay off social media because it's going to be the talk nonstop. One other thing from the press conference too was I'm just glad to see Nick Friedel back.
Yep.
I'm glad that I hear that sweet and sultry voice of his where he's asking the question, so Jonathan, do you plan on being here long term? He's always so meticulous with his questions. They're always very profound. The way that he builds it up. It's because Nick's got that, as Rennell Brooks Moon said on 95.7, he's got that deep, sexy voice. And it's absolutely true.
Was she saying that about Nick Friedel directly?
Yes.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, Nick was on the show because Nick was like, hey, Rennell. Yeah. Nick's the best. You want to talk about a guy who gets some unnecessary critique? You know, you're talking about Kyle Shanahan from beforehand. Nick Friedel does. I mean, this dude
for what?
A lot of Warrior fans aren't big fans, as he knows.
Why? Because he keeps it real?
Exactly. Yes. Yeah.
You know what? I said this yesterday, and I don't mind saying it. This is why I hate sports talk radio, because it gives a forum to the idiotic.
Yeah.
The part of the fan base of the 49ers or the Warriors, the Giants, that think they're right, but they're not right. Just because Jonathan Kuminga has potential doesn't mean you're right to say that Steve Kerr's fucking up his career. That's a stupid take to have. It's the same situation with Kyle Shanahan saying he coaches us out of games. He coaches you in games. Would you rather have Chip Kelly or Jim Tom Sula right now? Like, it just pisses me off. But
we'll get him on the pod. We
Friedel?
got to get Friedel on the pod.
Oh, yeah. I'm definitely down.
But point being, another thing I would have been interested in hearing Kuminga answer is not just, I know they can't do this. It's a little strong, but I would ask him like, okay, so let's do the Cam Newton thing. Like, would you trade in another NBA championship ring if it meant that you are going to be the number one option on another team? Or would you rather win a championship? Like, that's it.
Yeah.
You know, and whatever, I think, it was Cam who said like he would not sacrifice his MVP if that meant that he got a Super Bowl ring. I would ask that same question of Kuminga. Do you want to win Do you want to win another championship, or would you rather be the focal? Like, would you sacrifice winning another championship if it meant you were the centerpiece of a fairly mediocre squad? I would ask him that, and I wonder what his answer would be.
I think that he would.
Actually, I don't know if I would ask him that. That's very strong.
Oh no, I would, because I just don't care anymore. Like I think that's just a lot of talk about nothing with him. I think that he has potential, but the way that Mac Jones fits, the way that Brock Purdy fits, the way that Kendrick Bourne fits with the 49ers, they're not able to fit on other teams. Jonathan Kuminga has a lot of talent. He just doesn't fit on the Warriors, and that's okay. Sometimes schemes don't fit players, and I hate when fans act like, well, then the coach should change the scheme up for the player. No, not when that coach is more proven than the player. When that coach has won 4 championships, the scheme works. It's the player that has to be bought in, and Jonathan Kuminga is not bought into Steve Kerr.
Yeah. Like, and okay, you go to the Kings. Like, what's that going to do? Who are you going to be playing with on the Kings?
He's Jordan Poole, where Jordan Poole was a promising young player, but in the end, he wanted to do his own thing. I think Kuminga just wants to do his own thing.
Well, that's going to be interesting to keep up with, actually. The Pelicans are going to be a fascinating team to watch, just with Zion seemingly looking like a different player.
We always say that, though, but yeah, I hear you.
Well, yeah, but this is different. This is where it looks like he's
slimmer and not,
way slimmer.
That's what porn stars.
Way slimmer, though. Like, way slimmer.
Yeah, I know.
Still worried about those knees, though. But the fact that they got both Poole and Looney, and then it's Zion, I'm interested to see what that team does. But yeah, I don't really know what more there is to say on Kuminga. It just feels like it's inevitable that he's going to get traded. And I hope the Warriors just keep doing their thing because I don't know. I'm of that very, very small minority. I might be the only one who might just be looking at how they ended that regular season, how they looked post All-Star break until both Steph and Jimmy got hurt. Like they just looked like a different team once those two got hurt. Obviously, they weren't going to win without Steph. Jimmy, they could win without, but I think he's proven that he just brings something different. I think they could be a really good team this year, but that health factor, it is as big as it's ever been.
100%. We'll get into it more as we get closer to basketball season, but yeah, I think with a lot of younger teams in the Western Conference, I think it's going to be a very challenging season for the Warriors too. They can still be competitive. I think they're going to make the playoffs or the play-in, whatever it may be, but championship aspirations, I don't know.
One thing to close this out, Derek. It sounds like we're going to be moving on.
Yeah.
One thing to close this out. I haven't seen this clip. This is Moses Moody telling a story about playing in a pickup game.
Mm-hmm.
And supposedly it's hilarious. And I guess we hear a little Kawhi laugh in Moody here.
Yeah,
So
good segue here. Here we go.
Approach their off seasons now, how much individual work they do. And he was kind of saying that he wishes they would play more pickup. How much pickup do you play in the off season?
I play as much as I can. I grew up playing ball. Like, so when I was going through the surgery, the rehab, don't tell Rick, but I was out there playing left hand at the park. Just group whoever was out there, I go play. I was in Atlanta for a while. I was playing with some guys out there back home in Little Rock. I was at Canis Park where I grew up playing, but just playing up and down, all left-handed. It was funny. When I was in Atlanta, it was some of the guys. They were like, when I walked on the court, they said, "Is that Moses Moody?" Like they couldn't tell or not. But then I went out there and started playing, and I'm shooting it. But I'm remember I'm all left-handed, so I'm like airballed a couple. I heard him behind me. He said, "Nah, that's not him."
Wow.
So he had like a Charles Barkley moment from Space Jam.
A little bit. Yeah.
And the laugh was nowhere close to Kawhi.
You ain't Charles Barkley. You're just some
Wannabe
wannabe that looks like him.
Wannabe? Be gone.
Be gone.
That's a hell of a dream. It wasn't a dream. It happened.
Hey, can I play? Oh.
Speaking of Kawhi laughs, this is not going to be my jackass of the week, but this whole press conference was fascinating just because I didn't expect Kawhi to do anything. But I respect Ramona Shelburne to bring up these questions. Can you pull up the YouTube clip I sent you, Steven? We just played there at the beginning of this.
Okay.
So, of course, given everything that happened this offseason with the report from Pablo Torre, very in-depth about Kawhi Leonard receiving money from this phony company Aspiration that went under because of bank fraud and whatever. He was basically paid, what was it, $7 million or whatever it was to just take the money, not have to do anything. And now it's become a whole thing where it was an under-the-table thing of Steve Ballmer to convince him to come to the Clippers. So he was asked this at Media Day with the Clippers.
Tomer Azar with Clutch Points. Good to see you again. Just curious, there's been a lot of talk around you and the Clippers and NBA investigation last month. Just curious how you're kind of approaching this training camp and kind of not letting that get in the way, distract you or anything like that.
Oh, I mean, it's easy for me. I mean, I don't read headlines or do conspiracies, theories, or anything like that. So, it's about the season and what we got ahead of us right now. And tomorrow we'll start camp and see what we got.
Do you have any reaction or statement regarding some of the things that have been alleged over the last month?
No. I mean, the NBA is going to do their job. None of us did no wrongdoing. I mean, that's it. We invite the investigations. It's not going to be a distraction for me or the rest of the team.
Ramona Shelburne.
Do we keep going?
Then Ramona keeps at. Yeah, go ahead just a little bit. Ramona asked some really good questions here.
ESPN. What is your understanding of the endorsement deal that you had with the company that's being talked to Aspiration, and did you perform any services for them?
When you say understanding, what do you mean?
Like of the contract you signed and how much money you were to receive, what you were supposed to perform for those services?
I understand that full contract and the services that I had to do. Like I said, I don't deal with the conspiracies or the clickbait analysts or journalism that's going on. So that's what it is.
Well, I think the allegation was that you didn't perform any services for them. Is that accurate, or did you
I
do
don't
things
think
for them?
it's accurate, but it's old. This is all new to you guys. The company went bankrupt a while ago, so we already knew this was going to happen. So
All right. I mean, that's lame to say this is old news. This is new to you guys. Well, yeah, that's how news works, Kawhi. Like, it's under the, behind the scenes stuff that he's known for quite some time, since 2019, that summer. And he's like, this is old news. Not to, most of the media. Pablo Torre did his damnedest to get this information. And it's not clickbait. Believe me, there's a lot of clickbait journalism out there. That this is not that. Pablo Torre did his homework and did it in a very meticulous manner, to steal from Nick Friedel, to present it all, and did his research. So I don't think you should knock Pablo Torre for that. It's not like hearsay or conspiracy theory stuff. But is it the worst stuff in the world? No. Like, I think there's a lot of stuff out there with basketball players that we really don't talk about. Like, everybody laughs at Anthony Edwards in his press conferences, and he's a really good player. But you hear about the stuff where he doesn't pay for his children. That's terrible. Kawhi Leonard is being accused of taking money and taking a contract to play for the LA Clippers. When you really think about it, is it that bad? In my opinion, no, but I understand that it's against the rules, and most likely the Clippers will be fined. It doesn't sound like Adam Silver really gives a shit about this whole thing either, but is it shady stuff? Yes. Do I think most teams are doing it? Yeah, I do. And I just think that, is this a blemish on Kawhi Leonard's career? No. I think that we'll remember him as the guy that won 2 championships with the Spurs and Clippers, and the Spurs and the Raptors, and he went to the Clippers, he suffered a lot of injuries. I don't think this is going to be a thing that's going to be a detriment to his career going forward.
You don't know that.
I can have a take on it, though.
What can happen when the NBA completes its investigation? You just think there's going to be nothing of wrongdoing found? Like, you think this is going to have no implications at all? Like, no penalties whatsoever?
As far as penalties, yeah, the Clippers will be fined.
You think that's it?
I think so. What else should happen?
I don't think it tarnishes Kawhi's legacy. Like, I don't think anything tarnishes his legacy. I just think this is something that indicts the Clippers. I think this is on Clippers ownership, not so much on Kawhi.
Worse than what fucking what's-his-face did back in the day?
What?
Worse than what? Who's our guy? Not our
Donald
guy, but,
Sterling?
yeah, like that. Come on, man.
No.
Like, what are we talking about here? They paid a company, or they told the company to pay one of their players so he would sign. Like, I understand it's shady and that's not how business works, but it is how business works.
Okay, but I'm not even going to try to convince you why this is a big deal, because you clearly don't think it is, which is fine. But I think Kawhi Leonard's legacy is already tarnished by this stance that he's been taking on load management. I think you're going to see a guy who had a really, really promising career where he could be up there with, the Stephs, the LeBrons, maybe even the Kobes when it comes to championships, or the MJs even, where it's just at the back end of his career, he was just always hurt. And load management, I think that's going to be the thing we talk about most with Kawhi.
That's fine.
Not so much
fine.
stuff with the Spurs, not so much, even though he was amazing. Like, he was the best two-way player in the league. But I just think we're always going to bring up Kawhi when it comes to load management.
That's totally fair.
But like this, calling it just like a conspiracy and clickbait, like, no, they took the bankruptcy files and like showed, hey, you were supposed to get paid this amount of money. Like, it's not just like a clickbait headline, like from TMZ that says, watch Kawhi Leonard shoves a fan, even though it's like a fan that got into his face, blah, blah, blah. Like, this isn't clickbait.
Right.
This is more than that.
No, I acknowledge that. It's not clickbait. It's real journalism here. But in the same way that Tom Brady dodged everything with Deflategate,
right?
I don't think this is going to ruin Kawhi Leonard's legacy when we talk about him.
Maybe not, but you never know what can happen with the Clippers, man. Like, besides just a fine. Could be more than a fine.
Yeah, I don't think this means that Steve Ballmer has to give up the franchise by any means. I think that he'll be fine. And I think the way that Adam Silver talks about it, it sounds like he doesn't really care.
Right.
I think that's a bigger problem with owners picking and choosing what are issues in the league. So, yes, it's only natural that Kawhi Leonard's going to dodge these questions because he doesn't want to implicate himself. I do think that the Clippers did some wrongdoing here, but when we talk about the player, I think I think it's naive to think that other players didn't do the same things.
Okay, well, like let's just let everyone break the rules and just keep going. Who cares?
Steven, that's not what I'm saying, dude.
Well, it is. Well,
Okay,
it
but-
is. Like, what else are you saying?
But
Yeah,
what do
this
you want?
happens all the time. Just let them do it. Who cares?
Did I say that?
Yes, that's really what you're saying here. You literally texted me.
Well-
Does anyone really care about this Kawhi story as a tease when we first started bringing it up?
Well, okay, but what do you want to happen?
I don't know. I don't know what I want to happen.
You want justice. I want justice for this.
Yes, damn right.
I don't know. I mean, come on, dude. Like, there's so many, like,
I want
For
that
years-
contract to be voided, dude. I want them to get rid of all their draft picks until 2040. That's what I want.
that's insane. Come on now. You want the death penalty for the Clippers?
Damn right.
Yeah, because we see this all the time in college football. SMU got the death penalty for paying Eric Dickerson and all these guys. It happens.
A suspension. That's what I want, Derek.
Yeah,
Want
yeah, exactly. He wanted Kawhi Leonard suspended for a full season. All right. Anyway,
But I've told you though, like
Um,
this, but also like it's not about what happens with this. It's just hopefully like this maybe makes some owners a little hesitant about trying to do some shady stuff.
yeah, dude, I wish we lived in a perfect world where that was the case. But I think as long as people that have power go unpunished, they're going to keep doing it. And yeah, it's
God,
on.
that is such a pessimistic view, man.
I know it is, but tell me I'm wrong though.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Where'd you go?
Sorry. Don't know what happened there. You're not wrong,
Yeah,
but I really think that's just okay. Well, just let them.
I don't
get
want it
away
to
with
be that
then.
way, but
Fine.
I
Just
mean,
let
like,
them get away with it. It's cool.
I don't. Well, not. I mean, like getting away with it. Like Steve Ballmer would have to give up the franchise, and I don't think he makes a lot of money for the league. I do not think they're going to tell him you have to give up the Clippers.
They're not going to let him. No, they're not going to do that.
Believe me, Steven, there's things that I wish were different. I'm just realistic sometimes, where I'm like, I just don't think things are going to change.
That's fine.
All right, that's all I'm saying.
All right.
For the Giants, though, they want changes for the managerial job. And we went into it last podcast about Bob Melvin. Look, I think that it was time to move on for Bob Melvin. I think that Bob is a very nice guy, and I enjoyed his time as manager of the A's. I don't think it was his fault with the playoff failures. I think that Billy Bean played a large role in like Liam Hendricks being the starter for a wild card game against the Yankees. But Bob wanted to leave. He went to the Padres and have a good relationship with AJ Preller. Then wanted to go home to be the Giants manager. The expectation was he was going to get them to the next level of going to the playoffs and competing with the Dodgers and the Padres and the D-backs, and that did not happen. So it was time to move on from Bob Melvin. I totally get that. And then there was the press conference on Wednesday. Not really a lot was said. Buster does a good job of just saying, hey, we're keeping our options open. We're listening, blah, blah, blah. It's not a lot of concrete stuff, but there was one thing in particular that I commend Buster Posey for saying. I think it's the second best move he's made since being president of baseball operations, next to trading for Rafael Devers, to tell the fan base, we are not going after Bruce Bochy. That takes a lot of balls to do because this fan base loves him, and it would have been easy to just go off of nostalgia and get butts in the seats at Oracle Park. But instead, Buster was like, there's a time and place for that. And he's in the memory-making business, as he said when he was introduced. You got to make new memories. You can't be living in the past. You know, like as I was saying on Dirty Work, good franchises celebrate their past, but they don't live in the past. So if you want to be a good, organization, go forward with someone different. Go forward with a manager for the next 10 seasons as opposed to having a quick fix with Bruce Bochy for the next 3, maybe.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be just such an uninspiring hire if they would have got Bruce Bochy. Just stick with what you know. Mentioned in the last pod, this is officially his team now. Like, this is Posey's team, and your first big-time decision, other than, signing Willie Adames to that 7-year contract and trading for Devers, but like hiring the manager, it's everything. right? And they haven't found one since Bochy left. Just to go back to him after he had, consecutive seasons of just 500 baseball or worse, I just thought that would have been like a publicity hire, and it would have had me thinking a couple of things. It would have had me thinking, like, one, where's the imagination? Like, if Posey's going to be one of the next great executives, like, you got to take some swings here. You got to take some risks. And I think at a manager, you want to make the right decision. But I just thought hiring Bochy there'd just be such a low ceiling. There'd probably be a high floor with him, but just a low ceiling with what they could get. I just wanted to see someone young, someone fresh. And another thing, like, had they hired Bochy, I would think it was just for publicity, for nostalgia's sake. And I would think like Posey would want someone else than that, someone different than that. And, I think, well, okay, who's making the decisions here? Like, how much are these other owners having a say in this? Because they probably want him there, but it's clearly Posey. It's clear Posey wants to go in that new direction. So I was very hopeful after that one. He's so far, I mean, he's kind of gone without a hitch, really. Like, he's been doing a really, really solid job. I just think Bruce Bochy would have been a step back for him, even though it's great. Like, you know how I feel about the Giants. I love the Giants and I love what Bruce Bochy did for them. But even as much as I'd love to see him back in a Giants uniform, I would rather it be, maybe not even in a Giants uniform, maybe suited up in like some sort of advisory role like he used to have. Not so much, leading the team from the dugout. I think they need a little bit of just a injection of youth at the manager position with just how insane they are. Like the juxtaposition of seeing Melvin kind of just leaning on the dugout. I don't really have much of a problem with Melvin. I actually really liked him as a manager for the most part. I liked him as a person. I do understand that it was time to move on. But the juxtaposition of seeing Melvin leaning on the dugout, and then you got this young rookie outfielder who's just biting the shoulder of another player. It's just like these two things. I mean, this doesn't seem to fit here. I think they need a guy with a little more exuberance.
Yeah, but no one's going to match the energy of Drew Gilbert as far as a manager.
True.
That's just psychotic.
It's true.
And your guy that you wanted, Skip Schumacher, is off the table as he is going to be taking over for Bruce Bochy as the manager of the Texas Rangers.
Yeah.
Now, a name that was brought up yesterday by Susan Slusser, I guess there's inquiries about Stephen Vogt, but if I were the Guardians, you're not getting Stephen Vogt for me. No, hell no.
Yeah. No, they just clinched the division twice, but they did lose in the playoffs. So I don't know. I think you stick around with him. They players love him.
Exactly. And they interviewed Kurt Suzuki yesterday. I don't know a lot about him, but John Curley was texting me being like, there's no way in hell this fan base would accept him with the Trump stuff. And I'm like, I don't know about that. I don't think baseball fans really care about that stuff when it comes to politics.
We shouldn't care about anything with politics when it comes to sports because I don't know. I'm trying to be better with that, too, but who cares? Like, seriously, who cares? At the end of the day, like, you could set that aside if that means that they're winning games. John Madden, whenever he used to join KCBS, and I hear this quote all the time, winning is the best deodorant, right?
Yeah.
So if there's the stink of a potential political difference with your manager, as long as they start winning games, that stench goes away.
Yep.
It's nice Old Spice.
Yeah, I mean, for as many fans that would be upset about Kurt Suzuki, I think there's a lot of fans that also were tired of Gabe Kapler's act for the wrong reasons, and people focused on him being too woke or whatever the fuck. It's like, at the end of the day, he won 107 games, and then, yes, he got a little weird after that, so it's time to move on. But if you...
bizarre thing, man.
He was a bizarre dude, no doubt about it.
Manager.
I mean, going back to when he was introduced, I was tweeting out, like, so you think Gabe Kapler's going to have recommendations for coconut oil for everybody on the team? And everybody's like, what are you talking about? I was like, look up his time in Philadelphia. But that was, whatever. Who cares? That's just fun stuff. The political stuff that people care too much about, I'm like, who gives a fuck? As long as he's managing well, who cares? Anyway, should we pick some games, Steven?
Yeah.
All right, let's do it. We're both 0-0, clean slate, because neither of us got anything right with the 49ers and Rams game. So we're starting fresh, anew, as we do a little something we call wins or wings. All right, Steven, let's start in merry old London, as the Minnesota Vikings have been overseas for the last 2 weeks. They lost the Pittsburgh Steelers in Ireland last week. They're taking on Dylan Gabriel and the Cleveland Browns. The Minnesota Vikings are 3.5-point favorites, and the over/under is 36.
Play the points with the Vikings, and I'll take the. God, 36 is so low. I'm inclined to take the under, but I feel like an over could be hit. So, yeah, I'll take the over on the 36.
I'm thinking the same thing as you. I'm going Minnesota. I just think it's a tough ask for Dylan Gabriel. I'm laying the points.
Can we focus on that real quick?
What?
Lay the points, make your pick. Lay the points and make your pick.
I'm going under on the 36 because they're overseas. They make this quarterback change while they're not home. It's such a weird deal for Dylan Gabriel. Shador Sanders is a mime in the locker room.
Dude,
I'm
Browns are
taking the
such
under.
a mess every year. You're going to start your rookie. Hey, let's bench our veteran and let's start the rookie, who will be the first NFL player in history to make his debut internationally.
Yeah, that's.
Oh, yeah. Let's do that against the team that's already acclimated to that whatever time zone that they're in over there.
Yeah, I mean, do they have a bye week after this? I think it'd be more beneficial to wait till the bye week. If Joe Flacco was playing in this game, I know he's been dreadful for the most part. I probably would have started him in this game. There's a good chance they can win.
No,
Given
dude,
their
they got a
defense.
game. They got a game. They got a game next Sunday.
Oh well, Jesus, God, the NFL does nobody any favors. Yeah, I don't understand why they're doing this so early. I mean, I think they just want Dylan Gabriel to play some games and then Shador to play some games. But yeah,
funny.
I wouldn't be the least bit surprised the Browns get shut out because Brian Flores is one of the better defensive coordinators in all of football.
Oh,
he's going to be lost out there. So
I forgot about
yeah.
the Brian Flores factor. That's so funny. Oh,
Yeah,
poor Gabriel.
I've taken the Vikings in every survival pool I have, so there'll be egg on my face if this turns out to be a Browns victory. But yeah, I'm taking the Vikings. I'm laying the points, but I'm definitely going under on the 36.
Wow.
All right.
Wow.
Then we got, the Miami Dolphins going to Carolina. The Dolphins get their first win last week against the Jets on Monday night. Short week for them. The Dolphins are 1.5-point favorites. The over/under is 44.5.
Oh man, I'll just you know what? I'll take the home dogs to win it. You said the Dolphins are 1.5-point favorites.
Yes.
Oh, the line's moved then, huh? The Panthers started out as 1.5-point favorites. Now it's the Dolphins. Yeah, I'll take the Panthers to win that, and I'll take the under.
I'm doing the exact same thing. I think this is one of the few games that the Panthers could win. I think that, short week for the Dolphins, and I think it's a matter of time before Mike McDaniel gets axed. Might be the same thing for Dave Canales as well. Then we got the Giants going to the New Orleans Saints. Jackson Dart gets a second start. The Saints are 1.5-point favorites, surprisingly, and the over/under is 42.
Yeah, I'll take Jackson Dart to go 2-0 in his career. I think they could go in and beat the Saints with that defense. So, give me the Giants, and I'll take the under.
I'm doing the exact same thing. I think that Jackson Dart could do enough to win this game. I think Brian Dable can scheme it up for him to, get a touchdown, a couple of field goals, and that's all you need. And then that pass rush just goes to town on Spencer Rattler.
Darth Vader.
Yep. Then we have the Houston Texans taking on the Baltimore Ravens with no Lamar Jackson, no Kyle Hamilton. A lot of guys are out for the Ravens. The Texans are 1.5-point favorites. The over/under is 40.5.
Yeah, believe it or not, I'm going to lay the points with the Texans, and I'll take the over. Tough one.
Yeah, against my better judgment, I think that it's a different scheme for the Ravens to, or maybe even the Texans to account for. But the Ravens, through the years with Todd Monken as their OC, it's always been Lamar Jackson and a similar type of quarterback. It's Snoop Huntley. So I think this is something different to throw at the Texans. The Texans just have no offense whatsoever. So against my better judgment, I'm still going to take the Ravens to win this game. I'm going to go under on the 40.5.
Oh, nice.
I think Cooper Rush, you remember a couple of years ago, Cooper Rush filled in for Dak Prescott, and that was enough for them to win those games. The Cowboys' defense was a hell of a lot better than the Ravens right now, but I still think they get enough done to win this game this week. Then we got the Cowboys coming off their tie against the Packers. They go into the Meadowlands to take on the Jets. The Cowboys are 1.5-point favorites. The over/under is 47.5.
Yeah, I think I'll lay the points with the Cowboys. I think I underestimated them. Their offense is pretty damn good, and the Jets, I just don't know what to think anymore. Week 1 completely fooled me with that performance against the Steelers. So I'll lay the points with the Cowboys, and I'll just take the over.
Taking the over. I'm doing not the exact same thing. I'm going to take the Cowboys. I'm going to lay the points, but the 47.5 seems a lot to me, so I'm going under on that total.
Yeah.
Then we got the Raiders. We haven't mentioned it all this week, going up against the Indianapolis Colts, and Brock Bowers wasn't practicing yesterday, but it sounds like he is going to play. Colton Miller's out for a little bit of time with a high ankle sprain. They need to get Brock Bowers going, dude. Like, he's one of the better tight ends all of football. The fact he doesn't have a touchdown yet. And I was listening to the Chris Long podcast, and he said himself, as you brought up last podcast, Steven, Geno Smith looks shook right now. Like, he just doesn't look comfortable at all. So until I see otherwise, I'll give the details. The Colts are 7-point favorites. Over-under is 48. I mean, this is why you needed to win that game against the Bears, to go 2-2, and then you can see what happens against the Colts, a really good Colts team. So I'm going to take the Colts to win. I'll have the Raiders cover the 7, but I'm going under on the 48.
Damn. I mean, I'm having the same thing as far as the Raiders covering and the Colts winning, but I was going to go over. Yeah, going over because I think this guy can score you a couple of touchdowns.
Here comes week 4 from SoFi Stadium.
That's an insane thing. Tell me that. That's pretty good, and they always are, but that's an insane zoom in on Daniel Jones' nostrils.
It's literally the worst zoom in I've ever seen.
One more time, Steven.
Here comes week 4 from SoFi Stadium.
It's insane. My God, everything's been downhill since the Sables have gone. Anyway, all right, so
Here comes week 4 from SoFi Stadium.
it's just so comical. All right, Steven, so you're taking the Colts to win, and you're having the Raiders cover?
Yeah.
All right, we're taking the over. Yeah, I'm doing the same, except I got the under. All right, and then we got a marquee matchup in the 1 o'clock games, or the morning games for us, 10 a.m. We got the Denver Broncos going to the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles are 4.5-point favorites, and the over-under is 43.5.
Yeah, this is an interesting one. I think the Broncos are a really good team. I believe that. But the Eagles just keep winning, and I think it's going to be another close game. So I'm going to take the Eagles to win. I'm going to lay the points with, I'm going to take the Eagles to win. I'm going to have the Broncos covering that 4.5. And you said it's 43.5, right?
Yeah.
Man, I'll take the over. I'll just take an over. I don't know. Whatever.
So I just read this morning from Deanna Rossini that A.J. Brown, shocker, is upset with his usage in the Philadelphia Eagles offense. And so is Devontae Smith. So this would be a good week for them to, get the passing game going. But they're going up against Patrick Surtain. And I guess that Devontae Smith is it Devontae?
I don't know.
Okay. Devontae Smith going up against Riley Moss. You know how many white secondary guys are matched up in this game, by the way?
How many?
You got Cooper DeJean, you got Reed Blankenship, and you got Riley Moss on the Broncos. Wow. So 3 white guys in the secondary for this matchup. I got the Eagles winning this game. I'm going to lay the points with them, but I'm going to go over on the 43.5. I think Devontae Smith goes off against Riley Moss. You don't see a lot of A.J. Brown once again, but hey, who cares? They win. Then you got the Tennessee Titans going up against the Arizona Cardinals. The Cardinals are 7.5-point favorites. Over under 41.5.
Ooh. I'll lay the points with the Cardinals, and I'll go under on the Titans, on this ass Titans team.
Yeah, ass. I'm going to go over. I'm going to pick the Cardinals to win, but I'm going to have the Tennessee Titans cover the 7.5. All right, and late window game, but it shouldn't be. God, they need to adjust the schedule with the Bengals right now. The Lions go to Cincinnati to take on the Bengals without Joe Burrow. The Lions are 10.5-point favorites, over under 49.5.
I think Shamar Stewart's been ruled out, even though the Lions have a bunch of injuries, but that one's going to be pretty damning for them. I'll just lay the points with the Lions, and I'll take the under.
Yeah, this would be a fun game if Joe Burrow was healthy. I think it'd be a score-a-palooza. But yeah, given the injury, I'm going with the Joe Burrow injury. I'm going with the Lions. I'm going to lay the points with the 10.5. I'll go under on the 49.5. I think the Lions score a lot of points. I don't think the Bengals do a lot. All right, and then what else we got? We got the late window. Really good Jersey game, as both of these teams are going to wear their throwbacks. It's a matchup of old Panther quarterbacks that don't want to relive their Panthers history. It's the Buccaneers at the Seahawks. The Seahawks are 3.5-point favorites. Over under 44.5.
I think this could be a really close game, so I'm going to take the. I'm going to take. I'm gonna take the Bucks to win. Actually, I was gonna take the Bucks to cover and then maybe Seattle wins, but no, I'll take the Bucks winning in a close one, and I'll take the over.
I'm taking the over as well, but I think Bucky Irving's out in this game.
Yes. And
no Mike Evans still. I'm taking the Seahawks to win. I'll lay the points. I'm taking that over on the 44.5.
Bucky Irving might not even be healthy to play the Niners.
Then we got the Commies going to the Chargers. Chargers do not have either starting left tackle, as Joe Alt and Rashawn Slater is obviously out for the season. Jaden Daniels is back. The Chargers are 2.5-point favorites. Over under 47.5.
I'll take the Commanders to win. Give me the under.
I think that it's going to be an under game, more defense. I think that Justin Herbert's going to see a lot more pressure, but I think that Jaden Daniels is rusty in his first game back. So give me the Chargers to win, lay the points, and I'm going under on the 47.5. And then we got the Patriots going to Buffalo to take on the Bills in their snow uniforms that I don't know what to think of. I'll have to see them in action. The Bills are 8.5-point favorites, over under 49.5.
Yeah, I'll take the Patriots to cover. I'll take the Bills to win. And
Here, what you just said, you were underwater the whole time.
Drake May been playing better. I'll take the over. The Patriots to cover, Bills to win.
I'm going under on the 49.5. Give me the Bills. Little revenge game for Stephon Diggs coming back because he hates Josh Allen for whatever reason. I'll take the Patriots to cover, though. I'm doing the same as you, but I'm taking the under. And then we got the Monday night game. The Chiefs go to Jacksonville. Chiefs are 3.5-point favorites. Over under
45.5. Just lay the points with the Chiefs, and I'll take the over.
I'm taking the under. I think that it's a defensive game. The Jaguars have the most turnovers in all of football. I should say takeaways as a defense. But yeah, I don't think it's enough offense for them to win. So we were too early to write off the Chiefs. I think they could easily win this division once again. Give me the Chiefs. Lay the points. Give me the under. And there you go. Those are our picks for Week 5 in the NFL. Right on the dot at 12:30, Steven. I know you have to get to a soccer game. I got Texas and Florida to watch. Should we save our Jackass of the Week and Pop Culture Catch-Up for another time?
Well, Jackass of the Week is Chip Kelly for calling out Jackson Powers Johnson and saying that his head is a little too big. Even though you're joking, like there's a little bit of truth in whatever joke telling there is. So I don't like Chip Kelly saying that about a guy who's been fighting for competition. So Jackson Powers Johnson, or rather Chip Kelly, that's the Jackass of the Week.
Okay, I got mine real quick. I'm going with Rex Ryan for his rant on Shedeur Sanders. It was unwarranted. It came out of nowhere to just go after him for whatever reason. And I know some people are like, why is Shedeur Sanders making it about himself and miming during a media scrum to ask about Dylan Gabriel? He's doing it in response to Rex Ryan. I didn't have a problem with that whatsoever. I will say, I think some people are going after Rex Ryan saying his words were racist. I don't think that's the case. I think just Rex Ryan's very old school. Deion Sanders and Rex Ryan have a relationship together. Rex Ryan coached Deion Sanders back in Baltimore, and they're really close. Deion loves Rex Ryan. I'm sure he didn't love what he had to say about his son, but I think it's just tough love from Rex Ryan. But it was just kind of old man mentality that didn't need to be brought up out of nowhere for whatever reason on ESPN.
Yeah, but I also think you're seeing why the Browns or why his teams didn't draft him, because it's just the third string quarterback somehow in the spotlight again, and you're getting all these teams who are saying like you're treating him unfairly, and it's just nonstop. So you can kind of understand why teams passed up on him. They just didn't want what would have been, it's not his fault, but what would have been the headache that comes along with it. In that one wrong move, and you're going to get everyone talking about it and talking about the team. And it's just, you don't need that sort of publicity, not with a guy who's probably going to be a backup.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that one. When we ever have time, maybe on next Saturday's show, I'll give you my review of One Battle After Another. Saw that movie last weekend, the new DiCaprio, Paul Thomas Anderson flick. And I also saw the Charlie Sheen documentary, which was pretty interesting. We'll do that on another episode of Just Your Opinion, man. Thanks to everybody in the chat. Thanks to Pat H. Thanks to Rocket New Era. Thanks to Ernie One. Thanks to Tacky. Thanks to AJ Cruz. And I believe that is it. All right, everybody. We'll see you on Tuesday. Steven, say what you always say.
And it is.
Here comes week 4 from SoFi Stadium.
Just our opinion.